You know, every single trader at some point asks the exact same question. Why do most of us fail? We blame everything, right? The charts, the strategy, the market itself. But what if the real problem isn't out there on the screen? What if it's, right between our own ears?
Okay, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off with a pretty hard truth. The statistics say something like a staggering 90% of traders fail. And listen, it's not because they don't know how to read a chart. It's because they have no idea how to read themselves.
So, here's the big reveal, the central idea from Steven Goldstein's incredible book, Mastering the Mental Game of Trading. Your biggest opponent? It's not the market. It's not your indicators. It's not your strategy. The real fight is with your own mind.
So here's what we're going to break down. We're going to identify who the real enemy is. We'll look at the mind's deception, understand our personal triggers, tap into the power of understanding, choose clarity over confidence, and finally, talk about the final transformation.
All right, first up, this is probably the biggest and most fundamental shift you have to make. It's all about realizing you can't control the market, but you absolutely 100% can control yourself. Look, every trader starts out trying to bend the market to their will. We try to force it. But real success, begins the second you stop fighting the market and you start working on yourself. That's where the real power is.
Let this one sink in for a second. It's the absolute core truth. It is almost never a flawed strategy that blows up an account. It's unchecked emotion. When a trade goes red, fear grabs the steering wheel. When you're deep in profit, greed takes over. You think you're making logical decisions, but a lot of the time, your emotions are calling all the shots.
Now, let's build on that, because this next lesson is even wilder. It turns out your biggest obstacle is often your own mind, which is busy creating a totally false reality just to protect your ego.
This is the perfect little trap our mind sets for us. After a winning trade, it whispers, "You're a genius," which of course stops you from figuring out what actually worked. And after a loss, it screams, "The market was just wrong," which prevents you from learning from your mistake. Either way, you can't grow. It's a lose-lose.
And here's the root of the conflict, right? Our brains are literally hardwired for survival. They crave safety, they crave comfort. But trading, well, trading is an arena of constant risk and deep uncertainty. Your mind is yelling, "Get out, save yourself," at the first sign of trouble, which is often the exact moment your plan needs you to stay calm and hold on.
So how in the world do we overcome this? Are we just doomed? No, not at all. We start by understanding our triggers. You see, most of the decisions we make in the market aren't some careful, logical analyses. They're automatic, subconscious reactions. So what is a trigger? It's basically anything in the market that causes an instant, knee-jerk emotional response that completely bypasses your logical brain. It could be a giant red candle, a news alert, or even just seeing someone else post a huge win.
Let's walk through a classic chain reaction. The trigger? A massive red candle pops up out of nowhere. Instantly, the emotion takes over, just pure fear. Your well-thought-out plan? Gone. The action? You panic sell. And the result? You've just locked in a permanent loss from what might have been just a temporary dip.
So what's the solution here? It feels a little backward at first, but it is so powerful. The goal isn't to fight your emotions or pretend they don't exist. The goal is simply to understand them.
When you try to suppress an emotion, like fear, it's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It's just going to pop back up with even more force. It shouts louder. But when you pause and you just ask why you're feeling that fear, it starts to lose its power. It goes from being a dictator to being more of a guide.
This right here is the key to professional trading. It's not about being a robot with no feelings. It's about achieving what you might call mental neutrality. It's having the ability to feel fear or greed or anxiety, but not letting those feelings be the one to click the mouse. You can feel the storm raging inside, but you remain perfectly calm on the outside. All right, let's get ready for another big mindset shift. We're always told that confidence is the key to success. But in the world of trading, clarity is so much more valuable. In fact, clarity is pretty much everything. I mean, just think about it for a second. When do the biggest, most catastrophic losses happen? Almost always after a hot streak, right? When a trader feels absolutely invincible. Overconfidence makes you take bigger risks, you start bending your rules, and you believe you just can't lose. And that's exactly when the market decides to teach you a very painful lesson.
Let's listen in on the difference in the internal dialogue. The voice of confidence is obsessed with winning. It's asking, this is going to be a winner, right? But the voice of clarity? It's focused on the process. It's asking, is this set up right according to my plan? And most importantly, what's my plan if it goes wrong? See the difference?
This is the professional mindset in a nutshell. The real skill in trading isn't just about jumping on good trades. It's about having the discipline and the clarity to sit on your hands and stay out of the bad ones. That patience is what saves your money and your mental energy for the A-plus setups that really count.
And that brings us to the final and honestly the most powerful lesson of all. This is where everything we've talked about really comes together. Your consistent results. They don't come from your strategy. They come from your identity.
Wow. Just let that one land for a moment. It's such a profound truth. Every single time you click buy or sell, it's a direct reflection of your deepest beliefs. If you believe, deep down, that you're an impatient person, you're going to jump into trades too early. If you believe you hate being wrong, you'll hold on to a losing trade way too long.
This is the transformation in action. The old identity is driven by FOMO, fear of missing out, and a fragile ego. The new identity is built on a foundation of discipline and a growth mindset. Just notice how a simple shift in your self-talk from "I hate being wrong" to "a loss is just feedback" completely changes how you behave in the market.
So, if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Stop endlessly searching for that holy grail strategy. The secret isn't in changing your charts. It's in changing the person who's looking at them. When you change your identity, the results have no choice but to follow. And that leaves us with one final and very important question to think about. When you sit down at your desk to trade, who are you? Are you the gambler hoping for a lucky break, or are you the professional, calmly executing a well-defined plan? Your answer to that question will define your entire future.